I use the term function of church. Okay? There is nature and there is function. Nature refers to things that cannot change. I'm a pasty fellow. I sunburn easily. I can't change my nature. I would give anything to, in some of the countries that I'm in, if I could take off my skin and put on a darker skin with darker hair so that I blend in a little bit better. I'd do anything to do that sometimes. But I can't. On a DNA level, I'm pasty. That's because I'm related to British and French. You can't get much more pasty than the two put together, right? And my wife's Irish heritage blended into that as well doesn't help. Okay? I am that way. I'm blonde. I can't change this. Okay? That's my nature. By nature, the church is founded in Jesus Christ and is built upon the bedrock of obedience to the things that He said. You can't change that and still have a church. I can't have a bunch of Muslims meeting in a cathedral praising Allah and call it a church. Or even reading the Bible and call it a church if they're not baptized believers in Jesus and the purpose is they're going to obey Jesus. Okay? So by nature, that's what it is. Function are things that you do because of your nature, but you don't do them all the time. I like to use the illustration with young people in particular because they find it amusing. And I say, look, the Bible says to greet one another with a holy kiss. But you got to stop kissing so you can get down to work eventually. You know, if all we did was kiss all the time, which some young people would rather enjoy, we wouldn't get anything done. Okay? So the function of church is that, yeah, we do occasionally kiss each other in greeting. A function of church is that we do meals together, but eventually we have to stop eating meals together and go out and do something. Okay? A function of church is that we respond to crisis. That, you know, but we can't always live in a crisis mode because there aren't always crises in the world. So a function of church is that we go to Indonesia after a tsunami and we take care of the people there. Right? But tsunamis don't happen every day. And so we can't just sit there and say that, oh, that's what church does is we meet needs, those kind of needs on a wide scale, because it just doesn't happen every day. So functions go in and out. They turn on and they turn off based upon the needs of those around you. Okay? Then you have the form. Okay? And people say form is not important. So let me give you a bit of an illustration. If I'd had time, I would have made before you a lovely chocolate cake. And I would put out a table here with a cloth on it, and I would have had I would put the chocolate cake in the middle. I would put my sanitary gloves on so that you know that I was being considerate of the health of all the ones in the audience. And I would take plates, and I would take half the cake, and I would cut it into very nice, precise, beautiful squares, and I'd stick it on that. And I'd put it on this half. Then, with the other half of the cake, I would take my knife, I'd put it aside, I'd reach my hand in, I'd grab in a handful, and I would slop it down on a plate, and I would put it down on the left-hand side. And then I would invite you to come up and get pieces of chocolate cake. Which pieces would go first? The slices would go first. Is there a difference between the two? Did the cake change? Was I unsanitary in applying both of them? No. Form matters. Form matters. So for some people, the form, you've got to be considerate that certain forms of church are going to make more sense to them than not. My wife is one of those.